my knees shaking on my thigh. Post me a pic, finna make me a profit. When the liquor hit, then the get toxic.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Madwoman podcast, where we talk all things sensuality, sexuality, feminine energy, dance, creativity, movement, exploration. I could go on and on. I am Olivia, one of your co-hosts. We have Kira, the other co-host.
Hello, friends.
Yes, and today we have our very first guest, Dr. Ashley DeLuna. Ashley is a naturopathic doctor. She is a yoga instructor, and she is the host of Drop It Like It's Doc podcasts, which we love. I think you are so incredibly inspirational, and I can't wait to pick your brain and just get into all the different topics I want to talk about today. But yeah, you are our first guest. I was your first guest on your podcast, which is amazing. And I had the best time, the best conversation ever. I felt so rejuvenated after that conversation, so fulfilled, and just, I love it. And that's how Kira and I feel after every one of these episodes. I think, do we just like to talk? Because
yes, we do.
We just like to hear our own voices. And no, but I think just these conversations that we can have in a space like this are super exciting and very fulfilling, and we can just get deep. So that's what I want to do today.
Yes, sis.
You down? Yes.
I am so down.
I love it. So I want to hear a little bit about, I know we briefly talked about it in my episode on your show, but a refresher for me, first time for all of our listeners that might not have listened to your podcast yet, and for Kira, because Kira does not know the details.
Give them to me.
What is your background with dance and how it's kind of evolved into present day?
Yes.
Give it to me.
So first of all, babes, thank you for having me. I am over the moon to be your first guest. I'm obsessed with both of you. So the fact that we are now at this level of our friendship and relationship is very exciting to me. So I
just got the chills.
honored. Chilies. So many. But my background with dance. So I started dancing when I was 5-6 years old, and my mom would just drop me off at the dance studio after school, and I would dance there for hours. And I don't even think that I realized how much it was doing to my mental health at that point. And I just loved dance, and it was mainly ballet, but I did a little tap, a little bit of jazz. And, you start when you're little and everyone's bodies start to change. And I remember it was maybe when I was in middle school that the older dancers would come up to me and comment on my body or comment on my figure or comment on, I'm small. And they'd be like, oh, you have the perfect body for ballet. You have the perfect body for ballet. But your feet, you have to work on your feet. You have to stretch your feet. Have you seen this machine that you could put your feet in to work on better arches? And I remember being like,
those machines.
Right?
They're
and I went to
awful.
ballet camp, and everyone was doing all these things outside of the classes to manipulate their bodies to be this perfect image of what a dancer should be. And for me, that always was so confusing because I just like to dance. And of course I wanted to be famous. I mean, I honestly always wanted to be famous, but I wanted to be a performer, I suppose I should say. And in a lot of ways I am, just in having a podcast, being a doctor and yoga teacher and being on stage and things like that. But it started to get tainted. And then when I was maybe 13, I actually twisted my ankle. So then I couldn't do point shoes anymore. And that was devastating to me. And when that happened, it kind of reframed the way that I looked at dance. And then I started exploring other things. I started exploring African dance, and I started exploring hip hop. And it opened up just this whole other side of dance that I never really would have explored, I don't think, because ballet was my everything and I loved it. And all my best friends were ballerinas, and they were getting at these competitive levels and going to ballet camp and then going to school for it. And when that happened, it shifted it for me. And that's actually what kind of led me to medicine, because I was like, all right, I love dancing. I love being around dancers, but a lot of eating disorders were coming up in my friends, and a lot of just really kind of the dark side of that industry was becoming very, very clear. And then I decided that I wanted to be a physical therapist for dancers. And I thought that that would be my way of wiggling into that world. And then my path had it in that was not what I was supposed to be. And then I found naturopathic medicine, moved to San Diego. I was born and raised in New York. And I think you can imagine just kind of how competitive it is over there with anything. And I moved to San Diego. I met a friend, and you know those core people that you meet that you look back and you're like, holy fucking shit, you changed my life. You changed my life. And she introduced me to hot yoga. Yes, she introduced me to hot yoga, and she also took me to Culture Shock here in San Diego.
Oh.
And I started doing...
I've been to Culture Shock.
I love Culture Shock.
I've been there too.
It's really amazing. And then I
great
started
place.
doing hip hop, and I just started dancing for pure fun. Because there was a part of me that I think was grieving that loss. So I just thought it wasn't for me anymore. But then it just became pure fun. And I met so many friends. And ultimately, that same love of dance and wanting to just have fun led me to Madhouse.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy it led you to Madhouse. That's amazing to hear. Kira, I feel like you can probably relate to a lot of, I don't have that experience with, you know, the ballerina past and the point shoes and all the training and everything you need to do. But I'm so happy that you've been able to rediscover dance in a way that is authentic to you.
Why San Diego from New York City?
Yeah. So I say New York, and I'm from outside of the city, so it was very country. You know, everyone when they think of New York, they're like, what borough you're from? And I'm like, honey, that's just one little tiny little speckles of sweet little New York. But once you get out of the city, it's just beautiful mountains and trees. And so I'm from the Appalachian Trail, essentially. And my brother, actually, he was going to school in Michigan. He was a competitive runner. He was trying to be in the Olympics, and he decided that he didn't like running anymore after he came to visit San Diego with some of his friends. And he just had one of those consciousness shifts where he's like, what am I doing? What is life? And I followed him here. I came on a trip with him to help him move here, and I could not believe just what it was, how beautiful it was, the culture here, the way that people cared about their bodies and health, just the different aspects of life that you could have here. So then I applied for college, got in, moved here. I was going to leave for med school, and then the med school that I wanted to go to opened up a satellite campus here, which I was so grateful for because I did not want to move to Seattle at all. I am not a Seattle girl at all. And every time I try to leave San Diego, it just sucks me back in. So I'm here.
I was just listening to one of your podcasts with one of your friends, and you were saying how that friend is one of the reasons you stayed as well, which I think is beautiful. I'm glad the universe was just like, nope, you're not leaving San Diego.
You belong here.
Yeah.
You belong here. I love it. Okay, I remember what I was going to say before. I love what you said about how dance just, like, you didn't even realize how it was affecting your mental health back then. Like, you're just automatically dancing for 4 or 5 hours a night as a kid, and then you don't realize. And Kira was talking about having the same experience when she went to college.
Yeah.
She was dancing way less and was not happy with
And
that.
I had to grieve dance. I was so sad. My first 2 years of college. It was such a transition when you go from your entire life being dance and then it is completely changed and transformed.
Yeah.
I remember my teachers were even like, are you doing drugs? And I'm like, no, I'm not doing drugs. I just don't come here anymore.
Oh my God. So what is it about dance for you, do you think, like, that brings that sort of, and I would also like to hear about it from a doctor's perspective as well, because I feel like I can sit here all day and tell people dance is going to make you feel better and dance is going to help your mental health and all these things, but I don't have the science to back it up. And I think you do. And I would love to hear more about the mind-body connection from the perspective of someone who has the education to back it up instead of me just sitting here telling people, shake your ass, it's going to help you. It
does.
But yeah, what is it for you personally? And then also just in a broader aspect for other people that can introduce dance into their life?
I think for me, it is a way that from childhood I would self-soothe. It didn't matter what was going on at home. I adore my parents, but I cannot deny that they created a very dysfunctional home environment for me to just try to understand as a little baby. So getting dropped off at the dance studio, none of that existed. Your mind can't think about what's going on at home or, you know, any of those stressors because you're purely in the moment. You're purely dancing and you're just getting an incredible amount of neurotransmitters swimming through your body. So for me, it was an escape, but an escape that kept me in my body, because I think that a lot of escapes pull people out of their body or they could dissociate or numb, but dancing you feel and you're watching yourself in the mirror too. So I feel like you could pick up on different parts of yourself and then watch yourself change, which is so fun to have goals. And I think still to this day, one of my favorite things is doing a coordinated dance with other people. You get high off of it. And it's like one of those flash mobs, right? I'm like, we are doing this. We know what we're doing. And so fun. And in the future, when I have kids, we are going to have routines that we just all know, like my husband and my kids, so that when the song comes on, we're just
dance
on
party.
it. Like we are
Why is
dancing.
that my dream?
Dance party.
It's a dream.
I would
it
love
is a
that.
dream. So future husband, that's what's going to happen.
Submit your applications now.
Right. However, for the body, what it's doing from a neurochemical standpoint is that we have so many things going on in the background of our brain, and most of the time they're from these deeper structures. So when we evolved as creatures on this planet, we became more and more specialized in our functions. And ultimately, from the lowest part of the brain, that's just survival. That's how we eat, that's how we sleep, that's how we breathe, how our heart beats. Then you work up and you get into the emotions. And that's where a lot of trauma can live. And that's where a lot of patterns can live. And these patterns actually, whether we're aware of it or not, they kind of imprint on our subconscious. And that's how we show up in the world. And that's where a lot of fears come from and limiting beliefs and Just things that kind of pull us out of our authentic nature. But dancing, or really any movement, but dancing, it's all frontal lobe, because for us to move any muscle in our body, we have to activate the frontal lobe. And this part of the brain is something that no other animal on this planet has such a developed one, because when we evolved from being on all fours to standing up straight and we could see the world, we just triggered such an incredible release of neurotransmitters and neuroconnectivity in that frontal lobe. And really what this frontal lobe does is it just inhibits anything that shouldn't be there. So all of the stories that we tell ourselves, all of the stress, all of the habits that we have, whether they're good or bad, the frontal lobe goes, hey, should I be doing that? Do I need to be doing that? Is that good for me? So it just helps you to take control of your own life rather than being run by your stories and what's going on in the background. But truly, that's movement at large. But dance also, we feel music in our cells. And I'll never forget that my neurology professor in first year med school, he said, if you have a song that makes you dance, study to that song, because you are going to be releasing a lot of dopamine and epinephrine and happy chemicals. And that lights your whole brain up to just keep things moving. So I'm sure you both know this feeling when you hear a song and it hits and you just can't help it. And it's truly because that part of your brain wakes up.
That is so interesting.
Wow.
That's so freaking cool. I also think the community element is really interesting as well, which you touched on. When you're with a group of people all doing the synchronized dance, all doing the same choreography, there's like this euphoria
I
that
always,
we all get.
once we started with putting the spots at Madhouse, I have so many moments where I like see the formation.
Can you clarify what the spots are for listeners?
We have black little circles for spots for the 25 of us in one room, so that we all just have our own space to dance in. And the teacher's a little bit in the front, and then there's windows for everybody in the mirrors. And when I like cue people to do something and everyone does it and we're going around in a circle just dancing, I just want to jump up and down. I'm like,
no, it actually makes me want to cry sometimes. We've talked about this. Kira and I have talked about this. Something that I don't know if it's neurotransmitters or chemicals or what, but when you see the whole class hit a move at the same time, and it's interesting because obviously that's not even exactly what Madhouse is about. Like, I never want people to feel that they need to be getting a move perfectly at the exact time as me. That's not the point. But when it magically happens, you feel really proud of yourself as an instructor.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, okay, I cued that well. I did that. I'm a good teacher. And then also just the effect that it has, everyone moving in sync as one unit. And I think it just speaks to the larger picture of ourselves as humans in this community when we can all move together as one. And that just... This is so dramatic and like over the top for me to say, but I feel like it's a bigger message of the universe.
It's
like we're
completely
all
true.
one, you know what I mean? And it's this little community of 24 people in that moment, all so present and not thinking about anything else. You cannot think about
Endorphins
anything
releasing.
else.
Yes.
Endorphins releasing. That's so freaking cool to
It's
hear.
so fun. And let me just pause and give you some love in that the community that you have created at Madhouse. I love that there's different walks of life. There's doctors, lawyers, people that work at restaurants. Like, it doesn't matter what the fuck they do. It doesn't matter what age they are, what their body looks like, what color they are, how long they've been dancing, or if it's their first class. Everyone is rooting each other on. Everyone is, amping each other up. And that alone is so healing because it gives someone permission to play in their body when maybe they didn't because someone on the playground made fun of them when they were 5 years old. Yes. And now they don't do that because they're scared another girl's going to judge them. And just there's so much toxicity as women in which we're told to compete with one another or, to tear each other down. And Madhouse has created a community in which we just truly amp each other up. And it is so medicinal.
The hype.
It's so special.
Oh, I love it. It is medicine. It is medicine. And having that said from a doctor makes me feel good because I think that I had some sort of imposter syndrome as well. And like you said, having different people come into the studio and have it work for all these different types of people, and especially from doctors, makes me feel like, no, seriously, okay, there's something to this, because I didn't have any training or anything like that when I was launching Madhouse, and I didn't know if I was doing things wrong technically or not, but just to have that feedback, it means a lot. So thank you.
You're so welcome.
You're the best. So what have been your favorite parts of classes? I know you do a lot of the chair classes.
Ooh, yes.
I know you like to look at yourself and get all juicy in the mirror. You are my ideal student because you get in there. You're Leo, right?
Of course I am.
You get in there and you own your shit and you are pumped to be there and you have zero hesitation looking at yourself, loving yourself. Kira and I recorded an episode that is launching soon, or being released soon. I don't know if launching is the right word, whatever. All about
Either works.
Either works. Synonyms, it's fine. All about tapping into your central energy. And one of the tips that we have is looking in the mirror. And I just remember looking at yourself in the mirror. And I remember that being a topic that we talked a little bit about in your podcast. But yeah, talk to us about your Madhouse experience and what classes you like and all that stuff. What you find yourself doing in those classes.
Yes. So let me just say that the first class that I ever took was because I'm a type A person. I put things in my calendar. I usually don't mess up. I fucking missed a class at Culture Shock. I was devastated. I missed a class, and then I'm like, I've heard good things about the studio Madhouse. Let me just look it up. And there was one spot open. It was for Kira's class.
Oh, Kira.
And Kira is one of my favorite names in the world. So I was like, it is a sign. So I went, and I was addicted from at the end of that
Was
first
it
class.
cardio or
it was cardio. It was just cardio. And then I'm like, I'm signing up. And I'm
The regular dance cardio or the Red Room dance cardio?
Red Room.
Red Room dance cardio.
Yeah, so it got real.
I love that I was your first.
You were,
Oh my gosh.
and you hooked me in. So there was no going
Way to
back.
go, Kira.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sink 'em.
Yeah, she got me. She got me good. There was
Amazing.
no going back after that. But there's so many things that I love about the classes. I love the cardio classes because it's short little pieces of cardio that you can make your own and that you can get, you can kind of customize and perfect in your own way because you give so much freedom as to explore your body, see what feels good. This is what I'm going to do. What are you going to do? So it's fun to just play. It's more playtime. I love chair. I love chair. I love just being able to explore your sexuality and explore these movements that typically other people don't do unless it's in a sexual manner. But I think one of my favorite parts about Madhouse is that sexual energy is for me.
Yep.
It's all for me.
Period.
Yeah. And I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, damn, girl, you're hot.
Yes.
Yes. And I love just how different every teacher is because I feel like they pull out different parts of me. Like Giselle is so bubbly and cute. And I love when you say like aggressive. When you're like, shake your ass aggressively. I'm like, yes, Kira,
It's gonna get aggressive.
Yes. And
Get into it.
truly. And it's just been, every class has its own little piece of medicine and its own little nugget that I take away from it. The choreo classes I also love just because, it's in a pace that you can move slowly and that anyone can pick up on the choreo. But then if you do have a dance background, you're still getting challenged. So it's good for every type of person. And all in all, I just love how good I feel after, regardless of what class I take. I leave feeling truly high. I mean, you've seen some of my Instagram stories after. I'm like, guys, you have to go to Madhouse. Like, do you not feel this way? Because if
Sweaty
you
in
don't feel
your
this way,
car.
yeah, sweaty, soaked, disgusting in my car.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Has it helped you? Because I was talking to Kira about this. I went through a breakup a couple months ago, and that was the first time I ever had to dance through something and get through something. And I remember you might have been going through kind of a tough time the last time we talked. But do you think movement can help you through that? And I think the answer is yes, which is why I'm setting you up for this question,
Yes.
basically. But I would love for you to shine a little bit of light on that too for people.
Yeah, it's just so funny. That's why I just had that deep belly laugh
Yeah.
because I forgot that the day that you came for my podcast.
I want an update on that.
Yeah, sure. I was dating this guy forever, like dating him. Like I thought I was his girlfriend. I thought I was his girlfriend. Like, can we just ask the viewers like who would not want me to be their girlfriend? Like, just quick question.
No, that's actually crazy.
Yeah, like it's actually crazy. And then he was like, I asked him, I'm like, am I your girlfriend? Because I was confused. I met his mom, and he's like, you're not my girlfriend. And I was like,
You met his mom?
Bitch, like I know. So I was just so confused. And then I was like, all right, we're like done here essentially. So yeah, that was that. And
How long were you guys?
like dating? It's hard for me to
Together?
even say. And like I really hope that he listens to this. I really hope he does. So I'm still confused, but moved on.
Just
I'm
send him
like
the
6
link.
months. I know. I love both you. So, needless to
cannot.
say, I mean, we could have a whole podcast episode about my hilarious dating experience, but
Well, let's do it.
yeah, we're doing it now. So I remember even saying on my episode, I'm like, yeah, not feeling too great. So you know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to go to Kira's class. I'm going to shake my fucking ass. And I did. It was a Tuesday night, and that's what I did.
Yay.
And I feel like dancing because it helps you feel. So even in some classes, if it's a slower, sensual song, you allow yourself to tap into some sadness, some grief, some heaviness. If it's a more upbeat song, you cannot help but feel good. And I have never left a dance class feeling worse than I went in. I've only felt better. So regardless of what I'm going through, movement is a part of my self-care because I know it's going to shift the energy. It's going to move it out of me, or it's going to transform it into something that I can work with rather than feeling like it's taking over my mental space.
I
That was
love
so
that.
beautifully written.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I think just the cycle of moving things through you and feeling all the things. And you talk about that a lot on your podcast too, in a mental way, working through things. And then also in a physical way, you talk a lot about expelling toxins and all of that and not putting toxins in your body, whether they're physical toxins or energetic toxins with a person or something like that. And I love the idea of movement being a cleanse for you.
That's really beautiful. A lot of people would go to take a dance class to distract themselves from whatever they're feeling as a way to ignore whatever emotions or trauma is traveling through their body. They just want to let go of it, but you let it become something. You let it transform into something to help you feel better. You let it travel through your body and you feel better on the outside, which a lot of people, it's hard to do that. So I loved that. I wish I could hear that again.
So you'll be able to. It's going to be recorded.
Yeah, you can rewind it. Just hit that 15 seconds back over and over again. That's amazing. Can you enlighten us a little bit? Like I said, we had a podcast episode about how to tap into your sensual feminine energy. So we've talked about dance, and aside from dance specifically, what do you do as someone who's super embodied in your feminine power and sensuality and pleasure? Like you can just see that. You're a perfect example of what we were talking about when you can just see a woman and just see her energy.
Yeah.
Just emanating, right? And so I would love to know what you do. I know you're obviously a yoga instructor as well. I'm sure you do a lot of yoga. But aside from dance as part of the practice, or if you have anything else you want to add on that as well, but what do you do to feel grounded and sensual, focus on pleasure, play, all of that in addition to dance, if anything?
Yeah. So as women and tapping into feminine energy, it's all about flow, right? And to get to this point in my life, I didn't have a lot of flow. Medical school, there's no such thing as flow in medical school. You are structured, you are inner masculine, you're checking things off, you're getting shit done. So I think that just giving myself now that I do have control over my life and my schedule and whatnot, is giving myself time to flow, time where there isn't something on my schedule so that I can be open to whatever wants to flow in. Because I think that also when we live in such a structured way, regardless of how you identify, if you're a man, woman, or anything else that you identify as, if you cut yourself off from flow, then you just enter into this state of masculine energy in which you almost don't let the universe surprise you with little things, and little whispers and little intuitive gifts. So I think that in my day-to-day life, doing that, and actually Thursdays are my flow day. So then you're like, oh, do you want to do this? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to do this. This is a yes for me.
Oh.
But then also we are so intuitive as women that when we cut ourselves off to the flow, then we often don't know what's right or wrong for us. So then we just lean into what someone thinks that we need to do or what we should do. And then we grasp onto that. And even with that being said, we're cyclical, right? Like we bleed once a month. And if we are not listening to those rhythms, then we will suffer and we will feel disconnected from ourselves. So I give myself full permission to modify my life based on where I am in my menstrual cycle. So when I'm in the follicular phase and approaching ovulation, I could do a lot and I feel good and I'm outgoing with my energy and I want to play and have more fun. But then when I'm entering that luteal, it feels like you're entering a cave. I give myself permission to do nothing. I give myself permission to cancel plans if I want to. And then when I'm about to bleed or bleeding, I actually will really lighten my workload that week or maybe even take the week off just so that I can honor myself. So I think that tapping into the feminine energy is putting myself first in a way that's not selfish, but in a way that always just honors my needs, because I want to be able to give to people that I love, but I can't do that if I'm drained and depleted. And to kind of touch on the sexuality piece, it's just falling in love with myself and seeing myself as beautiful. And thank you so much for saying those kind words about me, because I am this woman now, but I was not this woman for a long time. And for the listeners that think otherwise, I was so self-conscious, so incredibly self-conscious. I was actually chatting about this with a friend the other day. I remember the first time that someone's like, "You're sexy." And it was my friend Gianna. And I was laying on her bed, just laying there. She's like, "You're sexy." I'm like, "What? Me?
Who, me?
I'm just laying here." She's like, "You're not even trying." You're not even trying. And just seeing myself in that way. And then also just, I hope that this doesn't sound too aggressive, but it's the Madhouse podcast. turning yourself on.
Okay, never too aggressive.
Yeah.
Especially that. That is on brand for us.
Yes.
Like I find myself sexy.
Yeah.
When
should.
I dress myself, I'm like, yes, queen. Like amping myself up, being my number one fan. And there are days that I'm not like that. And then I have girlfriends that can remind me of who I am underneath whatever cloud I'm swimming under. So I could go on really, but those are some big boys.
I want to listen to you talk all the time.
I am like, I can feel energy buzzing through my fingertips with everything you just dropped on us. You're incredible. That was just a knowledge dump for sure. What do you call it? Truth bomb.
Truth bomb. Knowledge bomb.
Truth bomb.
I think that's so beautiful because no woman that is, you know, all the wonderful things we just said about you, embodied all these things, started that way, right? We've all had programming and shame just thrust upon us that we've had to navigate our way through and find our way through. And everyone's journey with that is different. So thank you for acknowledging that and sharing that. And I think that should give a lot of hope to everyone listening that no matter where you are at in this process, if you are in a place where you don't like yourself, you don't love yourself, it is never too late to start that loving journey.
I also think it's really beautiful the way you said there are the days that you don't feel as confident about yourself. I think a lot of people have a timeline in their brain of like, oh, one day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to love myself, and you're going to love yourself every day for the rest of your life, and you just want to get there. But really, everybody has bad days and good days no matter what, and that was just really beautifully said again.
How many times can we tell you you're wonderfully spoken?
I mean, as a Leo, you could just keep telling me anything that you want forever.
And I will. Can we dive deeper into what you were talking about with the flow? Because first of all, I love the idea of a flow day. That is genius.
That was so beautiful.
Because I find myself over planning, and, you know, on the one hand, I get sad when I do want to do something and I don't have plans and all of that. So I think it's a really good idea to have one specific day that you can dedicate to flow and being flexible and being open to all those beautiful moments. And then still be able to be your type A self if you are, or whatever, your organized self, you're in your masculine getting stuff done, but making sure you have dedicated time. It's funny, you're like organizing time to be unorganized.
Totally. Yeah, but it needs to happen. And I say this to my patients because I work with a lot of parents and a lot of people that a whole day is just not going to happen. So I say, give yourself an hour, give yourself half a day, whatever is possible, because those are the best days. Those are the days that the universe truly shows you things that have been in front of you that you just haven't been able to see because you've been blind to them. So it can be, and that's something that I actually started first year of medical school, because I remember I was studying, I was so fucking stressed. And this guy who was just about to graduate, he's like, you're going to burn yourself out. You are going to burn yourself out. Give yourself one day a week that you forget that you're a medical student, that you forget that you have even books that you have to read, where you can just be Ashley and see what happens. And for me, all of medical school, that was Saturdays. And people thought I was crazy, but I think it's what kept me sane.
Oh my gosh. That's genius. I'm actually going to start doing it.
I love that.
I'm going to start doing it. And then additionally to the flow, can you dive deeper into the different states of the menstrual cycle and our cycle in general? Because most of our
You just read my mind. That was the question.
Was that
I
what
was
you wanted?
literally going to just ask.
I'm getting so into this. I track my cycle. I've been doing it now for a year and a half probably. So I know at what point in the month, what phase I'm at, which is so... It should be so commonplace, but it never was before that. And nobody teaches you about this shit.
No.
Yeah.
And it applies to 50% of the population. And the more that I learn about it, the more I'm in disbelief how much I didn't know before.
For sure.
So yeah, can you enlighten, most of our clientele are women, and we would love to know about the different phases and what you recommend for those.
I'm so excited right now.
I know.
to
Me
hear
too.
you talk about this.
Me too.
I love talking about this. So thank you for being excited. And let me just say, because this is a common thing that I see all the time, and I was also this person, so there's never any judgment from me. But if you are on hormonal birth control, you are not cycling. So if you think that you're cycling, you're not. It's an illusion. It is an illusion that you are cycling. Yes, you will bleed once a month, but that's not a true period bleed. It's not a menstrual cycle. It's a withdrawal bleed, which again, I was on birth control for a very long time. You're choosing what you're putting in your body, but this doesn't necessarily apply to you, because
That's
I do
so
get a lot of
interesting.
people that are like, how can I balance my hormones? And I'm like, you're on birth control. It's kind of shutting down all your hormones, because that's what it does. You're taking the synthetic hormone that then swims around your blood and tells your brain that you don't have to make your own hormones. And that's why you don't get pregnant. That's how it works. So it's doing its damn job. But you are not on hormones and you are cycling. What happens is that you have very distinct stages, and really you start counting on day one. Day one is the first day that you bleed, first day of your period. And the only reason that you are bleeding is because your hormones actually plummet. So that's why usually before you bleed, you don't feel so good. You feel like the world is slowly ending. Have you ever seen
Or
those
quickly
memes that are
ending,
like,
crashing and burning.
they're like, I finally realized that when I realize that everything in my life is fucking terrible, it means that I'm going to bleed in 24 hours.
That is the realest shit I've ever heard.
It is.
And why
So
26 years into life, I still haven't learned that lesson. I don't know.
Me and all my friends, we have a group text. It's called the Queen's Table, and we just one of us, like a
Table,
lot
I
of us,
love that.
are bleeding at the same time or not, and we have to remind each other. We're like, honey, you're gonna bleed soon. Like
Yeah.
you're
There's
gonna make
so
it
many
through.
instructors at Madhouse
Can
who bleed at the
we
same
hold each other
time.
accountable for that? Yeah, we're all synced up. But seriously, we need to hold each other accountable for that. Just the reminder of, look, you're gonna bleed probably
You're
tomorrow.
gonna bleed. You're gonna feel so much better. So yes, so day one is when you're bleeding. Right before that, all your hormones plummet. But now you're in the follicular phase, and this is called this phase because you have follicles in your ovaries that are holding eggs. And during the follicular phase, estrogen is rising, and you are preparing an egg to ovulate. So as you get further and further in the follicular stage, you'll start to feel better and better and better. And estrogen makes us feel good for the most part in the follicular stage. It makes us feel sexy. Like, around ovulation where you're like, damn.
Oh yeah.
That's truly because estrogen is so high that it triggers you to ovulate. So if you don't have enough estrogen, you're not going to ovulate. So you're feeling yourself kind of pick up energy, feel more and more confident, feel good about yourself around ovulation. Some people don't feel amazing around ovulation. That could be a different sign of a hormone imbalance, but usually across the board, it's the best time of the month. Best time of the month for productivity, for doing strong workouts. If you're someone that likes to do HIIT and stuff like that, I definitely don't like to do that. But if you do, you're incredible. But that is the best time of your cycle to do it because energetically you're supported. After you ovulate, what happens is that what was holding your egg turns into a little progesterone factory. So if you don't ovulate, you're not going to make progesterone. So this is what's going on in the luteal phase. You're making more and more progesterone. Progesterone is kind of like nature's chill pill. So it activates GABA receptors in the brain and it helps you feel calm, grounded, relaxed. But then also as it gets higher and higher, you're feeling so calm and chill that you don't necessarily want to socialize as much. And your energy is more so turning inwards at this time. And it's almost like there's different seasons to your cycle, and now the energy is turning within so that you're ready to bleed. And during these different cycles, there's things that are going to be supported by your own energy, and there's things that are not going to feel so good. So, the day or two before you bleed, and I've been in classes like this, I've been in like a cardio class, and I'm like, my legs feel so heavy. I can't do a twerk push-up today. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm about to bleed. So really, the more that you feel into that and the more that you give yourself permission to honor your own energy, you could still dance, but maybe you're going to take it easier that day.
Yeah. Yes.
And you could just adjust your lifestyle based on what your body is asking of you instead of resisting it. Because I also work with so many babes that, intermittent fast, and they're training with a trainer that does incredibly intense workouts, and they're doing that every single day of their cycle, even if they're bleeding. And that is so stressful. And then also just fun fact, if you are regular on your cycle, and if 1 month your cycle gets longer, it could be because you didn't ovulate that month, or that your body was ovulating a little bit later, and your body will try to ovulate. It will try. So it'll kind of push the period back. And that could be a sign to you that whatever was going on around ovulation was too much for your system.
Oh, so you're like stressing your
Wow.
body and it's pushing back or it's trying to ovulate, but it's not.
Yeah, because your body ultimately, when you ovulate, it's so that you can go have fun, have sex, and make a baby.
Right.
And if your body doesn't think that you are safe enough to make a baby, it's not going to ovulate, and you will not release that little ego.
Wow.
Ego.
Eggo waffles.
Exactly.
Wow, that is so fascinating. I love having that knowledge to make decisions on your physical activity based on where you're at in your cycle. And part of me does feel a little bit trapped with that because with our career and the way that we teach, I don't really have a choice on when I'm going to do a HIIT workout,
Yeah.
But it's good to just give myself that kindness and flexibility to know that when I am menstruating, like give yourself a break. You might not be able to go balls to the wall like you will when you're ovulating. And I do notice the difference. I do. I definitely notice that, at certain points in my cycle, probably when I'm in the follicular and ovulation phase, I'm way more just naturally energetic up there in front of everyone and having the frickin' time of my life, sweating my ass off. And then when it comes down to that more introspective, energetic time and the actual back to the bleeding phase, it's much more of a challenge to put myself out there, but I still do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's okay that you're doing it. But I also think that you should give yourself permission if you're feeling exhausted. Like, you can say that to the class. No one in there would care. We all bleed. Being like, babes, I'm about to bleed. I'm feeling exhausted. Anyone else about to bleed?
I think I've said that to a class
Jessa
before.
said that before. She's like, period brain. Like, yeah, we get it. We know what that is.
I love
Yeah,
that.
if you could say it to anybody, you could say it at Madhouse to all of
Yes,
them.
please.
That's so true. Why have I never thought about that?
Yeah.
I mean, the only times I think I just put so much pressure on myself, and I have definitely said to a class before, you know, I have this injury or my knee feels weird today, but that's maybe been 2 times out of the 2.5 years that I've taught. And I think just to give myself more permission to let them know and communicate with them. And I think it makes you more relatable in a way.
I literally
too.
walked
Yes.
into class, a little off topic from period, but I walked into class yesterday. I had a week off because I was on vacation, and yesterday was my first class teaching, and I walked in and I was like, guys, I'm nervous to be talking to you all right now. I was like, I know I'm going to be fine, but I haven't taught in a week, so just like bear with me for the first song. And they all like smiled and laughed. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. I still get nervous before every time I teach. I don't think people would know that, but every time. Because you're like doing a little mini performance, you
Yes.
know?
You really are.
But
You
it's a performance.
I have a question. It's totally random.
I love
Somebody
random.
said this to me, and I want to know if this is true or if there's medical background on this. Someone said that you get more clumsy when you're on your period.
I've heard that. Is that true?
Interesting. I don't know if I've heard that, honestly, but it would make sense to me. Your hormones are plummeting so that you're bleeding. And usually in the beginning, you kind of do feel out of it because your estrogen and progesterone are so low. And also, what triggers your uterine lining to bleed is inflammation. And inflammation can just make you feel off. Like, inflammation is just a general term for your immune system being active to clean something up or clear something out. And when that's happening, your whole body kind of feels a little bit inflamed. So feel a little out of it.
Yeah, I've heard
makes
that
sense.
before that I think I was in elementary or middle school when I heard that for the first time, that you drop things a lot more when you're on your period.
I
and
never
I've
heard
noticed
this
it.
though until like last month. Someone
really?
Said, someone said to me last month, and then you know, it might have been like placebo effect, but I like my roommate and I were like running into like counters and things, and I was like, "Are you bleeding?" And she was like, "Yeah."
Interesting.
And then we just think about it now.
Huh. But, you know, part of me can't help but wonder if that's just kind of the bullshit in which people are like, oh, bleeding women.
Oh,
Yeah.
Put them over
very
there.
true.
Yeah.
They can't be
Yes.
over. They're dangerous.
Yes.
They're going to mess everything up.
They're
Like,
gonna
I
create
am
a car
dangerous.
crash on the freeway. Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Thank you for that caveat.
No
I
problem.
have also a random question, and now I feel like I'm just getting a little bit selfish with my questions because I just want to know all
No,
these
I love
specific things.
this.
But I think listeners would want to hear too. Can you talk a bit about the sacredness of the womb? Because I feel like that also plays into the femininity, sexuality, sensuality, and all of that. And I would love to hear more about it. I know you talked about it on one of your episodes about how it's your connection to the rhythms of life and the universe. And I really want to learn more about that.
So, the womb, let me also just say that I am grateful for anyone that has donated their body to science so that I've been able to see what it was inside of it in medical school. And the uterus is the cutest organ I've ever seen in my life. It looks like a baby should go in there. It's so cute.
It's so soft and nurturing.
No, it really is. It's so cute. And it's little and it's pink and it has little arms and it's just precious. It's so cute.
Not the little arms.
It does. It has little arms, which are the fallopian tubes.
Wow.
So cute.
I'm looking at it in a whole new way.
It's precious. When I saw it, I actually cried because I'm like, I have one of those, and a baby's gonna go in there. They're so cute. But just as far as the sacred nature of it, as women and individuals that cycle, we are truly linked to the moon. The moon is influencing our hormones. It's influencing our internal waters. I like to think about it just as the moon is pulling the ocean tides. It's doing the same things inside of our body, and it's shifting so much. And when we tap into that own cyclical nature, we allow ourselves to also feel the energy of the universe a little bit more clearly because it's always talking to us. And I am convinced that every woman is, you know, a goddess and that she is able to connect to the universe in a way that I think that's why throughout time and space we've been told that we are dangerous or that our power has been, you know, tried to be silenced, because we do have these intuitive powers and we do have these abilities to feel things. And you own a portal to create a life in. And it is so sacred. And I think that as women, we've been told, ugh, my period, it's coming. It's so inconvenient. Can I just take a pill to not have it? To get rid of it? Ugh, these symptoms are going to be with me forever. And then it turns this disconnect to it, so that we learn to hate our cyclical nature, that we learn to hate that time of the month. And I was on birth control for a really long time, and I didn't feel that connection. And it is because you're not cycling. And again, to any listener that is okay. You are doing what you want to do for your body. But if you do feel disconnected, it's because part of you isn't cycling with the moon and isn't cycling with the universe. But then when you come off of the pill, so for me, I came off of the pill and I didn't get my period for a year.
Oh, wow.
And this happens to a lot of people because you're taking hormones and they build up in your body and your liver has to clear them out. And if your liver is having trouble clearing them out for a number of issues, or if you were a college student like I was, who was just partying every night and being bad to your liver, it's going to take a while for those hormones to get out of your body. And I will never forget the first day that I got my period. I was in a women's studies class and I was like, I feel something.
How wonderful that you were in a women's studies class.
Yeah,
I know.
places.
I ran to the bathroom. I wiped. There was blood. I was so happy. But that changed my relationship with my womb, because I didn't realize how much I missed it until it was gone, and how much I missed that part of myself until it was gone. And I think that we are taught to just silence a lot of things in our bodies. But if periods are painful or heavy or uncomfortable or are doing something to you that makes you disconnected from your life, it's because there's something that you're missing, and there's something that it's trying to tell you. Because also your womb holds a lot of feminine energy from not only you, but from your mom, from your grandma, from that whole lineage. So sometimes, I'll work with someone that says, yeah, I have fibroids. My mom had fibroids. My grandma has fibroids. And that's just an overgrowth of the muscle tissue in your uterus, which can make you have really bad periods, a lot of pain. But really, is there an energetic component to that? What are you not seeing? What part of your femininity are you not connected to? And can you clear that pattern? Because we can clear these generational patterns just by listening and feeling and loving your body. So I'm obsessed with being a woman. I love this body. I love every part of it. I love my period. I love my ovaries. Even if she's loud and a little mad at me one month, I take it as a sign that I did too much and that she's shutting me down and that I need to chill. So it's just a deeper window into your needs, and also not only your needs, but the needs of other women and the needs of this planet, because this planet is feminine. And I could truly go on and on and on, but it's a portal.
That's amazing. You took the words out of my mouth as I was thinking. God, I love being a woman. That TikTok sound that's like, oh, how I love being a woman. That immediately came to my mind just hearing you speak about the uterus and the beauty and everything. But just to clarify really quick, so we can energetically clear physical symptoms like that you were talking about. That's so freaking cool.
Because so in yoga, we call them koshas, and they're different layers of bodies. And we have a physical, we have an energetic, we have emotional. And it's almost as if, this is how I visualize it. It's as if energy condenses before it hits the physical. So some people will resonate with energetic healing, and they'll do Reiki and sound healing and things like that. And they can absolutely clear physical symptoms in their body. But other people, that's just not what they're in connection with, and they won't necessarily be able to access that. But I've seen, and I also want to stress this to the listeners, I've seen anything and everything heal based on belief. If you don't believe it's going to heal, it's not going to. If you believe that you're going to have it forever, you will. But if you believe that it's something that can be fixed, it's something that the universe is trying to teach you through, then you can absolutely shift it. I kid you not. I've seen anything and everything heal.
I fully believe that. I geek out on that stuff. I love it. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Do you have any other questions, Kira?
I have a question that is not, this goes back to something you said at the very beginning of class, and it's been sitting in my brain.
Yeah.
You said...
Did you say beginning of class?
Yeah.
We're in a class right now.
Yeah,
This does feel like a class with Dr. Teacher Ashley DeLuna.
She's teaching me these things at the beginning of the podcast. I also am from the East Coast, so I grew up in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And you mentioned how people live in San Diego. It's such a healthier and more active lifestyle.
Yes.
And people who live in the bubble of San Diego who've never left California don't realize, or for the most part, don't realize the way the rest of the world can be. And growing up in Pennsylvania and seeing New York City, unhealthy individuals was way more common than what I see in San Diego. Even people working out, going on the boardwalk to go skateboarding, go rollerblading, et cetera, whatever you do, that doesn't happen on the East Coast usually. And I wanted, if you had an opinion on that at all, or even as a doctor here, as a naturopathic doctor, how that has like your clients that you have, your clients, are what they called?
Patients,
Your patients.
whatever.
Patients. I was like clients, it wasn't right.
Close enough.
The patients you have here, if you've ever talked to people like family or friends on the East Coast, and if their views of naturopathic doctors is different, because I know people I've talked to, it's way different, East Coast versus West Coast. So all of that.
Sure.
Enlighten us.
No problem. So let me just say that most of my family did not support me in becoming a naturopathic doctor because they didn't think it was real, because naturopathic doctors were actually regulated state by state. And the way that we get licensed is based on a lot of efforts that go on behind the scenes. And ultimately it's related to lobbying and whether or not the American Medical Association wants to share. And I give no fucks in that most conventional medicine, they just want to make money, and you get paid per prescription, you get paid per procedure. So you're more so just making money rather than treating what's in front of you. And for me, it's a compliment if I never see my patient again. If they get better and they never come back, I don't want them to come back. I want them to get better and to be able to show up to their life in a way that they're not dependent on me. But with that being said, for someone to heal their body, they have to take a really honest look at the ways that they are contributing to their dis-ease and their dysfunction and their illness. And a lot of that is diet and lifestyle. And I was born and raised in New York. I was born and raised on pizza and bagels and fish sticks, like Burger King. And I did not eat real food. And I remember my first vegetable. I'm not kidding. I was in high school. So I'm not, I was not, I was in high school. It was a cucumber dipped in ranch. And then I moved to bell peppers and I would dip them in ranch.
Are you a ranch girl?
I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't do it. But like, I was a mess over there. But yeah, love ranch. You know, does it love me? No, it'll make me.
I relate to that. So
yeah, you get it. So with that being said, you know, a lot of people still on the East Coast in my family, I think that they don't consider me a doctor. Honestly,
Wow.
which
That's
at first it used to
heartbreaking.
really upset me. I have one uncle that I know for a fact isn't going to listen to this, but every time I would go home, he likes to make it clear to me that I am not a real doctor, that I am, you know, a quack, I think is the word that he uses. I'm like, okay, sure, like we love that
I'm
word.
like angry for
Yeah,
you.
thank you. But my mom and my dad are so supportive, and also, you know, it's very different in that, like I was saying, you have to take responsibility for your lifestyle and the things that you're doing that are contributing. And I know that when I was living on the East Coast, like you don't have the access to things that you have here.
Completely,
you know?
yeah.
It's sunny. You can go outside and work out whenever you want. You can see beautiful nature. You can go to the beach. On the East Coast, like a lot of the year, it's really cold and you can't go outside. And also there is this pressure in that even I still get this, like, what is wrong with you that you eat this way? What is wrong with you that you don't do this? And it's not what is wrong with me. It's just, this is what I'm choosing to put in my body and this is what feels good. And being confident enough to stand beside yourself and behind yourself to not kind of cave into your unhealthy patterns, because everyone just does what they're programmed to do. And I know that on the East Coast, they're not necessarily programmed for health. And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a black sheep in my family, and I'm
Thank you
proud
for
to
being
be.
the black
I was
sheep.
just gonna say thank you for being the black sheep. We
No
love
problem.
it.
No problem at all.
You are needed in this world.
Thank you.
Especially San Diego.
And you know, out here, it's the norm. Like, there's naturopathic doctors everywhere.
Everywhere.
And some people don't even realize that they're seeing a naturopathic doctor. They're just like, oh yeah, I love this doctor. I've seen him for years, and he's an ND. But in New York,
that's
it's not even
actually
legal.
crazy.
They're actually on the ballot
It-
this year
is
to
it?
be. Yeah, I'm not a doctor in New York, but they're on the ballot this year, and I hope that they do it because I would like to live bi-coastally. So it would be nice if I could be a
Is your
doctor
family
there.
still in New York?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that you can be a recognized doctor in New York, because that's
you.
crazy. That's
It is.
crazy.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you so much for all this information. I feel so lucky that we got to just sit here and pick
Are we
your brain.
done?
I mean,
Is
we've
it
been
an hour?
talking for a while
How
now.
long
It's
have we
been
been?
over an
It's
hour.
not done. Just kidding.
Do you
It could
have
be done.
anything else?
I just feel like we've been talking for like 10 minutes.
I know.
but
Well,
guess
we can all,
haven't.
I'm sure, talk about this forever. But do you have any other just health and wellness truth bombs that you want to drop on our listeners or anything? I know that's like a very big blanket statement to say, but anything else you want to share at all, feel free. But if not, no
Yeah.
worries, of course.
This is coming through just because I know that even listening to an episode like this, maybe when I was in my previous self, I would maybe be a little triggered, just being like, how am I going to feel that way about myself? And just know that it starts with a little baby step. It starts with you wearing something that you feel confident in, changing something up, doing something that you've never done before and seeing that you like it, and just recognizing that you are worth it and that you are special and that you are fucking gorgeous. Like, I have never seen a woman's body that I didn't think was beautiful. And it's just because culture tells you that it's not, or that there's something wrong, or that you should be a certain way. And it's really, once you learn to love yourself on every possible level, that everything in your life is going to fall into place, including your health and your well-being and your friendships and your relationships. And I also want to stress that I was not confident. I was bullied throughout my life. I hated myself. I actually wanted to die for a lot of my life because of, I know, and I have no problem sharing this because I'm sure some listeners have felt that way and they would never think that I was like that. So I'm really passionate about sharing my background because it's really important that you recognize that it's never too late to love yourself and it's never too late to be the person that you've always wanted to be. And I remember when I was in middle school with my friend who would, like pinch my stomach and be like, you need to lose this weight there and you need to lose that there. I'm like, you should do some crunches and blah, blah, fucking blah. And I remember we did this exercise where we were like, who do we want to be? Like, what do I want to look like? And I realized this last year, I'm like, I am that person. I became her. And I didn't mean to do it. It just happened. So it's never too late to love yourself. If you have a mean friend that is making you not love yourself, they're not your friend. No. They're not your friend at all. And go to Madhouse because we will we will be that for you forever.
Oh, it's so well put. How did you get through that dark time in your life?
Yeah. How did I get through that dark
you?
time? There was honestly a couple different chapters. One, which is, we talked about hormones and birth control, so I guess it's important to talk about this. One was when I was in high school. And this is something that I'm super passionate about talking with my humans, and that there's actually an incredible increased risk for suicide if you are on hormonal birth control. And there's thousands of studies on this at this point. And a big reason is because of the vitamin and mineral depletions that go on. You lose an incredible amount of vitamin B6, which does not allow you to make any neurotransmitters to make yourself feel better. So this is not medical advice, but if you're on hormonal birth control, you definitely need to at least take a B vitamin to support yourself mentally. So when I was in high school, not much really helped, I guess. I just kind of got through it, moved to California. Things started to get better. And then to get through it, I definitely started seeing a therapist. Mm-hmm. I got off of birth control. It was actually my aunt that was I was reflecting back on this. I was driving like a fucking maniac through PB, like a
driving
maniac status. I love
that you remember this.
Oh yeah, that's why I just got that
PB. There's so many lights too.
I know.
How crazy can you drive in PB?
I was driving crazy, leaving to a New Yorker. It was rough, and my aunt was in the car. My mom had never been on birth control. My aunt goes, "You have to get off of the pill. You have to get off of the pill." I know that that's what it's about. And again, no judgment, because some people don't go crazy when they're on the pill. Some people don't want to die when they're on the pill. But this is my experience, which is why I'm sharing it. So I came off of it, detoxed, and then also I had to work on what was going on, the root of it, and wasn't planning on sharing this, but here we are. A big part of my depression and my sadness and not loving myself was based in my core belief when I was younger that I wasn't wanted because I was raised by an addict. So, when you're raised with these certain things, that's how your baby brain develops. And, and it wasn't until I was older and did a lot of therapy around it. And my therapist said, "Are you the daughter of an alcoholic?" And I was like, "What?
Wow. Are you a psychic?"
Yeah. I'm like, how did you know that? And then I started to realize that it was never me. I was never the problem. It is someone else who loves me, and they're doing the best that they can. But now how can I love myself through that? How can I love the little baby girl inside? Because that's truly who needs it. And now that part of me seems so far away, but if she does peep her little head out, I just remind little baby Ashley that she's loved.
Oh, I love it. We were just talking about this last episode. I kind of opened up about my sort of programming and shame that I have, not the same experience as you, but basically the visualization of visiting that little Ashley, right? That little Olivia, and giving her all the love that she needs in that moment. So props to you for being able to do all the hard work and the therapy and the healing to get yourself to where you are now. And
thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Problem. I'm an open book, babes. Yeah.
We appreciate you. You are just the absolute best. Such a pleasure to talk to. I just cannot express enough how grateful I am to you. I think what you do with medicine is really make it approachable and loving, and you hold people's hand through it, and you call us little babies and cutie pies. And it's just like the type of medicine that I need in my life, So thank you for doing that. I think, you're just an amazing person. I feel really lucky to have you in our circle. And I think your mission as a doctor really aligns with our mission as teachers. Completely. And just helping empower
I remember
women.
I remember the first day you walked into Madhouse and we talked, and I was like, oh, she's a wonderful woman. I want to talk to her and be her friend. So this is a full circle having you be here and getting to
Truly.
talk to you and pick your brain.
Yeah, seriously. Can you plug where people can find you, your socials, podcast, any, if they want to be your patient or if you're accepting new patients or anything like that, if they want to talk to you?
Yes. Before that, I literally love you both so much. I am so proud of you. I am honored to dance with you. I'm honored to be in this room with you. You are changing lives just by being yourselves as you are in front of
Thank
the
you.
students. And
We love
again,
you.
I adore you both. So thank you for giving me this space to share my story with your listeners and to just be a part of the fam, because that's what it feels like. It feels like I'm a part of the family.
You are.
You are.
Yay! I'm never leaving.
You're never leaving.
Stop. So as far as how people can find me, my name is Dr. Ashley DeLuna. My website is Dr. DeLuna, any way you want to spell it. My Instagram is Dr. the full word, DeLuna. I have a podcast that I talk about all sorts of fun shit.
Yeah, you
called
do.
Drop It Like It's Doc. Olivia was
It's
my
amazing.
first
Go
guest.
listen.
It's so fun. As far as seeing new patients, I am seeing new patients. Apparently, me and the internet are not getting along, so feel free to just send me a message because my online scheduling thing is all sorts of silly. But you'll also see me at Madhouse shaking my ass in the front row like nobody's business.
Come find her at Madhouse and say, hey.
Aggressively. Please say hi if you see me. Please say hi.
You're just going to be a celebrity now around Madhouse.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. You wanted to be famous. Here we are. I love it. Oh, amazing. Thank you, Dr. DeLuna.
Thank you,
We
thank
love
you, thank you. We
Thank you
adore
guys
you.
for listening. And yeah, hope you got some good little nuggets of knowledge out of this. I know I did.
Yes.
Woo. All right. Thank y'all.
Bye, friends.